Hey VC, it's Matt. I hope everybody's having a good night. Almost in the middle of the week here. Just got home from work not too long ago, and I saw that Joe, mean Mr. Mayo, has posted a video. It's a response to somebody named Jessie, who is, I guess it's a channel called the Beatles Submarine, or maybe that is Jessie's screen name. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with Jessie or the Beatles Submarine, but sounds like a cool channel, so I'm going to definitely go check that out here probably after I make this video. Just wanted to respond to, or just wanted to make a response video also, which the video is 20 Beatles questions that I guess Jessie came up with, or someone came up with. Uh, so I thought I would respond to those. And I enjoyed your video, Joe. I think I didn't check, but hoping this is your only video of the day. I don't want you to go exceeding your that daily VC video quota that's been put in place here and get in trouble there, because don't want the VC police knocking on your door and handing you a demerit and taking your official VC card away or anything like that. So let's keep a lid on those videos every day there. Um, so anyway, let's get into the questions. The first question is, who is your favorite Beatle? If I was forced to pick, I would probably go with John. I really don't have a favorite, though. I like them all the same. I just think of that, I am he is me, and we are all together. I always just saw them as a group. You know, the individuals bringing their their different talents and abilities into the group to the table, but I always just saw them as the Beatles. What was it? I think it was maybe Brian Jones or maybe the Rolling Stones manager Andrew Luke Oldham that described meeting them for the first time as like this four-headed monster that was running, because they were always together back in the early days and running around. Um, so I just think of them as the Beatles, but I guess if I had to pick, I'd go with John. So, second question: what is your favorite era of the Beatles? And I'll say up front, a lot of these answers of mine are going to just parrot Joe's answers. We a lot of times tend to look. Seems like we have the same sort of tastes or thoughts on things. So there it is. But I like the entire span of the group. Love all their albums. I think the band broke up at the right time. I'm glad they never got back together, because I don't think it would have been the same, and I think it would have marred a wonderful thing. But my favorite era would have to be the early days, probably 63 to 65 or so. Which is not to say that I don't love the psychedelic years and I don't love the later years, and that a lot of times I'm in the mood to listen to Abbey Road or the White Album instead of Hard Day's Night or With the Beatles, because on any given day. But in the overall, it'd have to be the early years. I just think there's something so fresh and great and new and just full of energy and life there. I wish I was born in 1963, so obviously I was too young to really, take part or remember any of that. But I just think how cool it would have been to have been in America in, say, December '63, which I was, but I was 2 months old or 3 months old or whatever. But and old enough to just walking around, and all of a sudden you hear this weird song about holding your hand on the radio, and what is that? And then you hear it again, and you hear She Loves You, and all these great songs coming out, and get to look forward to watching them on Ed Sullivan, and look at their crazy haircuts and all that, and that just would have been a blast. I think that would have been wonderful to get to go to Mott's or Murphy's, and the store windows are full of Beetle wigs and flip your wig Beetle games and harmonicas and all that merchandise that came out in '64 when they got here. Uh, to have gone to see them in concert would have been really cool. They played Dallas and they played Houston. It's the only two places they ever played in Texas, but So yeah, to have been part of that, it would have been great to have been around for Sergeant Pepper and the White Album and Revolver and Abbey Road. And I can sort of kind of remember Abbey Road when it came out, just because my brothers uh, and my cousin around the corner having it and playing it. But um, you know, it would have been great for that. But I mean, just to that initial burst of uh, the Beatles and who are the Beatles and it's something new and exciting and all would have been really cool to have been part of. But um, and I tend to like their earlier music most of all, I guess, even though I love the middle and the later periods too, if that makes any sense. How did you get into the Beatles? I've talked about this on several videos, so I really don't um, going to go all through it again. But um, have my brothers are considerably older than me, 9 and 13 years older. I've got a cousin who grew up around the corner from us. She was 10 or 12 years older. My brother's friends that were running around, okay, so they were their age. So they were of the right age when the Beatles came out, that they were into the Beatles and all the other stuff that was going on, Beach Boys and Rolling Stones and all that stuff. So I heard all that my whole life. And somewhere around the time, I want to say 72, 73, when I was about 9 years old, I had heard of them and heard them, but put on Magical Mystery Tour, and that's maybe the first time that I really tuned in and paid attention, and it just completely Beatle crazy from that moment on. So, um, you know, I mean, I might have heard of them and obviously heard the records and stuff on the radio and stuff when I was a little kid, but anyway, so that's the short version of that, I guess. Um, Favorite song is Help. So, and that's my favorite song of all time too. But and there's a ton of others that I could name, but that's my absolute favorite. Favorite album is the Beatles' second album. That's Parrot and Joe again, but that's long been my favorite album. I remember I have had that. Uh, I got a lot of my brother's albums when they went off to college and all that they left behind, but Beatles' second album was not in that. They had 6 or 7 of their albums and American albums, obviously. And I got the Beatles' second album. I was pretty young. I want to say I was about 10 or 11. I don't remember exactly when or where I got it, but that's long been my favorite album of all time. And if we will just want to stick with the British albums, I would say Revolver or A Hard Day's Night, maybe Revolver. Um, so Beatles' second album. Okay, favorite song, favorite album. Number 6 is What Other Bands Do You Like? We could be here all day on that one, so I'll just say that I like tons of different kinds of music, but my favorite, um, I'll say my top 4 favorite music genres of all time. Number 1 is the British beat, British invasion stuff, which would be your Beatles, Kinks, and Rolling Stones, etc. Uh, and a subset of that being garage rock. I'll put that in there, even though there's British stuff in there. A lot of that was American stuff, like the Standells and Question Mark and the Mysterians, Louie Louie by the Kingsmen. So that'd be number 1. Number 2 would be soul music of the, you know, your Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, Curtis Mayfield, Sly Stone, etc., etc. So soul music, Motown stacks, soul music from really the 50s when it was called R&B, but really the 60s and the up to about the mid 70s. So a bunch of bands there. Third would be the girl group sound of the early 60s. The Shangri-Las definitely would be um, top of that group. The Ronettes, the Shirelles, and even if you want to go a little later down the road, Blondie and the Bangles and the Go-Go's and stuff. But really that girl group sound of the early to mid 60s. And then the final category of that would be somewhere in there I'd throw in some of the psychedelic stuff like Piper at the Gates Stomp by Pink Floyd and all. But uh, and the final category would be punk, new wave, the Clash, the Jam, Gang of Four, all that stuff. And then there's a ton of other stuff I could bring in, but That's enough for now. Um, Least favorite Beatles album would be Love. I didn't like that one at all. I don't like messing. I don't like sampling and mashups. And um, was a buddy of mine that likes that techno dance club music, and I remember hearing, and they had one of those had Billie Jean, just the beginning of it, the dun 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 dun, dun. And I thought, why don't you just play the song? Because this song's crap, and Billie Jean's a great song. I'd rather just hear the song. And so I don't like the mashup stuff. I don't like re, I don't like reimagining and pastiche and cut and paste and messing around with the originals. I mean, the Beatles songs were great as they were, and Love was. I got that when it came out, and it was cute for a spin or two, and I don't think I've played it. I think I played it 4 or 5 times. I don't think I played it since then, so I really didn't like that one at all. If we're talking about the actual Beatles albums, I really like them all, but I guess I'd have to say Yellow Submarine too because, and I played not too long ago. I played the back side of that with the film music, and I kind of enjoyed it. Not like I'd go out of my way to listen to it very often. Beside one is you've got some songs that were on other albums, and you've got some songs that were all together now and stuff that are just okay. But I mean, "Hey Bulldog's" a great song. "All Together Now," and it's all not "All Together Now" is not. "Hey Bulldog" is "All Too Much," and the other song that I just forgot I really like. So I mean, I thought I should grab the album because I can't remember that name. It's the other George song. I really like that one. I think Joe said he didn't like that one too much, but that's a really cool leftover psychedelic song. And I'll think of it as soon as I finish the video. But I mean, it's a good album. It's just if I had to pick the least favorite of their regular albums, that would fall at the bottom there. Uh, Least favorite song. You Know My Name, Look Up the Number, I never liked, and Wild Honey Pie, never liked either one of those, so I'll just go with that. Revolution Number 9, Joe picked. I kind of like that, as if you want to call it a song. When I was a little kid, I was fascinated by I guess, the mythology of it or whatever, and the weirdness of it. Not that I really sat around and listened to it, but now when I play the White Album, I just let it play through, and in an odd way, it almost sounds like a song now to my ears, when I was little, it just sounded like a bunch of weird craziness. And I don't go out of my way to play it, or I'm not driving in my car blasting it, driving down the road or anything. But I never did like You Know My Name, Look Up My Number, or Wild Honey Pie. So there's those. Um, Favorite Beatle wife, Patty Boyd. I've had a crush on her since I was. She is. I always thought she was really cool and really really cute, and yeah, she's without a doubt. I always loved Patty, and she's she'd be the one. Now, I know Joe mentioned Linda, and I know that Linda got a lot of gruff and a lot of insults from music critics and from fans in the early days. She seems to me, and I mean, she wasn't by any means a great musician or anything, and you can argue whether Paul should have brought her into the band or not. I don't really have any problem with her, but she seems like she was probably the most down to earth, and seems like she was a. I mean, I didn't know her, so who knows what she was like, but she seems like she would have been a really thoughtful and kind of cool and nice and neat person. Um, but but Patty Boyd just like I said, she stole my heart since I was 9 or 10 years old. I had a big crush on her, and I still do to this day. So, and her and A Hard Day's Night and all. Ooh boy. So yeah. Um, Favorite film. Here I go. Here I go copying Joe again. Is Help, which was actually the first Beatle film I ever saw. When I got into the Beatles, big time got into them, like I said, it's about 1973. Listened to my brother's albums and kind of taking those as my own. Uh, Help showed up, and then at this point, I didn't even really know how to tell the Beatles apart. Is that George or is that Paul or which one is that? And I hadn't heard all their albums and all their songs at that point. But Help showed up on TV on I think it was a Dialing for Dollars movie they used to play on Channel 11 every day, and this was like it's kind of serendipity. It happened like a couple of weeks or a month or so after I really, really got into the Beatles. And like I said, I was like 8 or 9. So, I thought, and I just thought it was cool. I mean, and so there were a lot of, when I saw the movie, I had not heard uh, Ticket to Ride and You're Gonna Lose That Girl and a lot of songs in there. I'd heard the stuff from A Hard Day's Night because my brother had the United Artists Hard Day's Night soundtrack album, so I'd already been playing that, so I was familiar with that. And even though I hadn't seen the movie at that point, and then A Hard Day's Night came on TV. They used to show it on TV pretty often. I don't know how long after I saw Help, but you know a month or a few months or something later. So I saw that. Really love A Hard Day's Night too. I mean, it's a great movie. Technically, it's the better movie. And now that I'm older, I kind of see how Richard Lester kind of brought in elements of French New Wave cinema movies, which I'm a big fan of now. I don't know that I would have really been a big fan of them back when I was 8 or 9 years old, but Hard Day's Night is a great movie. It's, like I said, technically the better movie than Help, but Help, I watched it not too long ago, and I still, it's kind of goofy, but I still love it, and sentimental reasons, but I really like it, so I'll go with Help. And what is next? Favorite Beatle outfit? First thing came to mind was in Hard Day's Night, that cool, kind of looks like a black leather cap that John Lennon wears. I've always wanted one of those, and I always thought that looked really cool. So I will go with that. I mean, I like the collarless suits. I like the suits they were wearing in the Shea Stadium movie or concert film. But that black leather hat that he had back there in '64 in Hard Day's Night, that looked really cool. I'd always wanted one of those. How the Beatles inspired you? I don't write songs or sing or play an instrument. Don't really have any musical ability. So, but they inspired me to, probably in a lot of ways, but I don't. They've inspired me to search out books and stuff that I've heard them mention in interviews, different types of music that I've heard them talk about. Kind of got into blues music. Uh, I like a lot of the old blues music, and I got into that, oddly enough, not just the Beatles, because of Sanford and Son, and because of the Blues Brothers movie too, but a lot of the stuff that they were saying was their influence when they were kids, when they heard this music, and earlier '50s music, which I had heard but hadn't really paid attention to. So I mean, it got me to go look around at other types of music that they had mentioned, and books, and I don't know, in a lot of ways uh, I don't know. So let's see, favorite Beatles instrument. John Lennon's Rickenbacker guitar is like the coolest guitar. It's just, I can't play guitar, and I'd love to buy one. I mean, they cost like $3,000, but I'd like to just have one just to hang up on the wall and look at it. And probably knew I was going to get her in here again, because I'm probably going to talk about this girl in every video I ever make from now. When I saw Miss Loveless in concert here a couple of months ago in Fort Worth, she comes out on stage with a John Lennon Rickenbacker guitar, except it's blue instead of black, and that was a great moment. So, favorite solo career, Paul, I guess by default, because he's made 500 albums compared to the others who made 10 albums each. Ringo's made a lot, but George just didn't make that many, and John really didn't either, compared to Paul. But I would say Paul's had the just because of the sheer number of songs. I think maybe John and George's best moments might eclipse Paul's solo best moments, but I mean, overall, I, I guess I'd have to go with Paul, and I'd say he's had the best solo career and the worst because he's had some incredible stuff. I mean, all their solo stuff, I wouldn't, any of it matches the Beatles' output in my book, but some of it comes close. But Paul's had some incredible stuff, and he's had some incredibly awful, quite a bit of incredibly awful stuff. But if you just, I mean, just for the sheer amount of work that he's done, and so I guess I'll have to go with Paul. Taxman or Eggman? Taxman. Uh, don't like about the Beatles? I don't know. They should have got together long enough to come play my birthday party. I can't think of anything. And I mean, I'm not saying that they're perfect and flawless, or nobody is. But I mean, just I really can't think of anything. Joe said drugs and stuff, and so maybe I'll go with that. Um, why do I like the Beatles? Well, the music just moves me. I mean, why do I like Kincaid's hamburgers better than I like Mickey Mickey's hamburgers, which I know that nobody watching is in Fort Worth, so you don't know what I'm talking about. But I mean, I don't know. Music just moves me, and well, okay, I'll say because they just thought of something because they were real, but they were also incredibly. Most of the time, they were also incredibly positive and hopeful and inspiring. And I don't mean that in a fake way or a sentimental way or a the Carpenters, I'm up on top of the world looking down on creation, or puppy dog tales and lollipops and sunshine way. I mean, they were tough and they were realistic, and but they weren't out there, everything sucks and life sucks and this is terrible. They were life affirming, I guess, if that without being silly or kitschy. Maybe that's one of the things I like about them. Do you have Beatles merchandise? I used to have a lot. Sold it, most of it. Used to have a lot more records than I do, and sold them. So I've got a few things. I didn't pull anything out. I don't have very much anymore, but I used to have like a fan club. It was a cube that had an apple and the four faces, and a lot of the buttons, and a lot of mobile for the Yellow Submarine from 1960. I used to have a lot of stuff. I don't have it anymore, so much of it. Who's your favorite Beatle child? I don't really. Kind of had a little crush on Heather McCartney, the daughter, not the skanky girl that Paul married when I was a little kid, because she's about the same age as me. I think she's about a year older or something. But I don't know. Danny seems like he'd be kind of cool to hang out with. My favorite Beatle house, definitely Friar Park, George's house. Love that place. Love to check that out someday and see it. And not that they'd let me in, but I mean, so. Um, so number 20, last. What would you say to the Beatles if you met them? Hello, Beatles. I don't know. I would probably something lame like that. Hey, dude, I really love your music and you're cool. You know, is probably what I'd say. But I would love to have had, if I'd probably just sit there tongue tied, but it would be great to have, a couple hours to kick back with them or one on one or together and just shoot the bull over a couple of pitchers of beer. That's never going to happen, but if it did, I could think of a lot of stuff to ask them probably. But anyway, so there's my response, and hope you all have a good night.